this is a big one because this one came through about 4 hours before we started recording this show. Again, for once we got lucky on the news reports that last week the Alonso news came out the day after we recorded the show, which was just awful in that sense. This time around we got a little bit luckier, but it's a kind of a sad one from the world of NASCAR, unfortunately, Mr. O'Connell.
Yeah. Dale Earnhardt Jr. today announced that this will be his last season of NASCAR Cup Series competition. He is retiring at the end of the 2017 season, and it's a big deal because Dale Earnhardt Jr. has been perennially, through the good times and the bad, he has perennially been one of NASCAR's most popular drivers. Of course, he's second-generation star. His father, the late Dale Earnhardt Sr., one of the most successful and beloved drivers in the history of the sport, especially after his untimely passing in the 2001 Daytona 500. After that, Dale Earnhardt Jr. kind of had to carry the family legacy, and for the most part, he's done his due diligence. He's won the Daytona 500 twice. He's been a championship contender on multiple occasions, but he turns 43 this October. He's coming at the end of his contract, and more importantly, he's coming off of severe concussion syndrome that forced him to miss most of 2016. Probably would be the main reason why he is deciding to hang it up early. Hendrick Motorsports, his team has not had any announcement on whether or not anybody will come in and replace him. No announcement just yet, but looking at his career, he's got 26 career Cup victories, 20 in the top 30 in the all-time winners list. For my money, he's one of the greatest drivers that, especially in this ultra-competitive era that the sport has,
Absolutely.
that has yet to win his first title. And this will be his last
That's
chance
crazy.
to do it, basically. And yeah, it's a huge blow, not only for Junior Nation, which is a huge fan base, but
Massive
also
nation.
you think about who has retired in the last 3 years. We had Jeff Gordon retiring at the end of 2015, Tony Stewart at the end of 2016, and now Dale Earnhardt Jr. at the end of this 2017 season.
Edwards too.
At Carl Edwards retired, and they all account for so much of NASCAR's popularity in terms of like fans who will follow one driver through thick and thin. And they're all gone, and this is now coming at a time where NASCAR's popularity is starting to wane significantly.
This is exactly the point I was about to make. Dale Earnhardt, for context, I think was voted by the fans as the most popular driver on 14 occasions.
Yeah, just for context, his first full-time season in the Cup Series was 2000.
Wow. So this is his 18th season in Sprint Cup competition.
I think the only reason he didn't get voted most popular driver in his rookie year because his father was still racing.
Yeah, kind of an unfair disadvantage on that one, really.
The last three winners of the NASCAR Most Popular Driver Award since 1991 have been Bill Elliott, who won it 10 years in a row and 11 in total between 1991 and 2002. Dale Earnhardt Jr. has now won it 14 times in a row. Will probably win the 15th. Dale Earnhardt.
Oh, no kidding.
Dale Earnhardt Sr. was awarded it posthumously in 2001.
Yeah, safe to say I think Dale's got that one on lock now for year 15 in a row.
I have his statement in front of me about his retirement.
Go on.
He said, quote, "You're wondering why I reached this decision. It's really simple. I just wanted the opportunity to go out on my own terms. I wanted to honor my commitment to Rick Hendrick, and to my sponsors, to my team, and to the fans. I'll admit that having influence over my own exit only became meaningful when it seemed most unlikely. As you know, I missed a few races last year, and during that time, I had to face the realization that my driving career may have already ended without me so much as having a vote at the table. Of course, in life, we're not promised a vote, and that's especially true in racing." And I think I'll just end right there.
Yeah. Just it's. I was going to say, I wonder how much of the concussion of last year played into that, because, again, we talked about it on this show on many occasions, you know, the dealings of head trauma, and, again, Dale pretty much missed half of the season last year through concussions and related symptoms.
We've talked on multiple occasions as well of drivers trying to tough it out and drive through injuries. The Pascal Wehrlein situation most recently, when we found out that his injuries were a bit more severe than we had led to believe. Even in the world of hockey, we had Joe Thornton of the San Jose Sharks play with a torn ACL and MCL.
Jesus, I saw that yesterday and I was just like, what is he doing? Like, just
playing on literally one leg.
It reminds me of, because he was one of my favourite players in the NFL for a little while. Robert Griffin did the same thing effectively when he was playing Seattle in his first and to date only playoff game, where clearly his ACL was torn in the first quarter of that game, but he played for another half, and I will always resent Mike Shanahan for that one, who should have pulled him out of the game straight away, but pretty much made Griffin play on one leg, which you can go into a deeper conspiracy regarding that and Kirk Cousins and his future role as starter of the team, and Shanahan getting on the radio every 2 fucking seconds to say that, oh, Cousins is the top 10 quarterback. Yeah, it was a great idea we picked him as well as Robert Griffin, but it goes on. It's just, we've seen many examples of this in sports, especially in the United States, where there seems to be almost this culture of playing through pain and playing through injury, and almost in fear that you might lose your spot if you do succumb to injury or something along those lines. I mean, remember Alex Smith when he was at the 49ers? He was having the best year of his career. He was throwing 70% in terms of accuracy in the NFL, which was, I think, one of the highest ever at that point. Had a ton of touchdowns, took a concussion in a smaller divisional game. Colin Kaepernick was brought in, and Smith was done in San Francisco. Not that we knew it at the time. So that's why a lot of players will hide the fact they got concussions, because they feared their spot could be at risk. So it's that awful culture of head injuries, playing through pain, and just the nature of that whole vibe of just injuries and how we deal with them. But Dale, a very, very important figure in NASCAR, and I wonder, RJ, is the popularity of NASCAR ever going to recover from losing so many prolific drivers so quickly? I mean, like you said, Jeff Gordon, Tony Stewart, Edwards, and now Dale Jr. It's like the backbone of NASCAR for the last 2 decades is pretty much gone now.
Right. And they, don't get me wrong, they have the talent. They have the talent.
Absolutely.
Of guys in Chase Elliott, Ryan Blaney, Eric Jones, you name it. There are a lot of great young drivers in the sport. Daniel Suarez, who are just coming up through the ranks, and they have the talent to be the next generation.
And the schemes.
Yes. Next generation defining talents in the sport, but it's coming at a time where obviously the boom period has worn off. People are kind of becoming disillusioned with the way NASCAR has been run lately. Just ask host emeritus Adam Johnson for more. It's so tough, and I feel for these guys, and I feel it's gonna be tough for them to recover unless they kind of do something drastically different to try and win back some of that base of fans that they've been waning off of for a while, because there's a lot that's good that's genuinely good, objectively good about NASCAR, but there's just so much bad that gets in the way of that. And just a few things about Dale Earnhardt Jr. I'll admit, I was a big Dale Earnhardt Jr. fan in the early to mid 2000s. Then I became cynical because he stopped being as successful as he once was, and then I found out of it. But lately, his personality has really stepped to the forefront. He's one of the most entertaining Twitter follows around. In a one-off on commentary for NASCAR and Fox, he was absolutely on it. So he's
him and Jeff. Oh my God, that is like my dream commentary booth. Jeff Gordon and Dale Earnhardt Jr.
Yes,
that'd be amazing.
Yes, and he's still got a very good. He's run a very successful team in the lower ranks of the NASCAR National Series, like the Xfinity Series in particular. Has seen a lot of great drivers come up through the ranks and eventually into Cup Series success. He's still got a future in the sport even after his driving, and his legacy in the sport will be as one of the most popular and generation-defining talents that he had. One of the last true sport-transcending guys that they had for a while.
Yeah, it's absolutely. If that's going to be that's a hole that NASCAR may not ever be able to refill, and that's bold, because if there's one thing I've noticed from obviously being an American sports fan, and watching a lot of sports like the NFL, the NBA, or watching American-based YouTube accounts on YouTube like Dude Perfect, for example, where Dale's made an appearance on that YouTube channel, and that's now got over 10 million subscribers on it. It's that Dale Jr. was seemingly the transcendent guy. Like Dale Jr. would be the one NASCAR guy I would see everywhere, whether it be on SportsCenter, whether it might be picking up with journalists on YouTube. Everywhere, like Dale is that guy for NASCAR.
Yeah.
And
Like, I think I had someone put it to me this way: Jeff Gordon was the NASCAR driver for Madison Avenue. Dale Jr. was the NASCAR driver for Main Street.
Can I read off Dale Jr.'s Twitter bio, because it's the best thing. He lists himself as a retired dealership service mechanic, former backup fullback for the Mooresville Blue Devils varsity soccer team, aspiring competition barbecue pitmaster, beer.
that is the best.
Yeah, and I think the last part of the article about his retirement statement said, Earnhardt said the hardest part of his decision was having the conversation with his team owner, Rick Hendrick, on March 29th. Earnhardt said, he told me he loved me.
Oh.
Man.
We're going to miss you, Dale. And thanks for the memories, man.